Johnny's a very good jockey.
Johnny's strengths are the ability to set a horse into a rhythm in a race.
Not So Sleepy is now stretching right away, is quick enough, smartly going to the last and the final flight, and flew over it. Not So Sleepy and Johnny Burke.
Johnny will ride a thinking race.
He's very strong in the finish, he's very good over an obstacle.
Jonathan Burke and Love Envoy have the lead. A good leap where she needed it from Love Envoy, and the inaugural running of the Winter Million Mares Roberts Hurdle has gone to Love Envoy.
You see him riding day in, day out.
He enjoys the good days like we all do.
Now Bootle it is who comes towards the final fence and takes the advantage. So it's Bootle and Johnny Burke in front. Bootle is holding in to win.
He's very down to earth. When he comes in here, he's the first to saddle up and wash the horses down afterwards. He's a very level-headed, sound guy. He brings a huge amount of experience and talent to the game.
Johnny, although still a young man, you actually have been in racing quite a long time. Very recently, you've just had one of the most successful weekends. So how has that weekend made you feel?
Yeah, I suppose very satisfying, really. It's been a long road back to that level, I suppose, but I probably was thrown in the deep end as an 18-year-old 5-pound claimer, so, and didn't probably realise at that time the position that I was in, and having been there and gone through the fall the other day gave me a lot of satisfaction. When you ride a big winner like that, your phone starts hopping and you start hearing from people that you wouldn't have heard from for a long, long time, and that probably makes you realise how big a deal it is too. But from a personal point of view, to ride at Cheltenham is special, and Gala was very tough, and he'd gone with the right profile, but the race was going pear-shaped for the first mile for me. But I suppose comes with bringing my knowledge and experience. Probably I was able to take myself out of the fire and ride him to run well as such, and I took a punt really that he was going to finish strong for me, and luckily he did.
Winning the Paddy Power Gold Cup is huge for our team. It's huge for any jockey, and you know, I thought Johnny gave the horse a good ride. So it's the horse's second run outside of novice company. The horse stepping into a big field handicap like the Paddy Power was a huge step up for the horse, and you know, it didn't go cleanly for the first part of the race. It took him a while to really get into a rhythm, and it was only at the top of the hill that you started to believe that actually he might have a chance. So Johnny's given him a good ride through the race, and even though things haven't gone particularly well for us, he's produced the horse at the second last with every chance to go and win. And from the back of the last, he didn't jump those two particularly well either, but from the back of the last, he was strong to the line.
I often think back to when I had the Potts job that I would have ridden a lot more winners for them now with the experience that I have. I used to ride horses not to their best of their ability, but how Mr. Potts wanted them ridden. So I think you always have to remind yourself that ride on instinct and do what you think is right at that time. And I suppose I'm probably happy to have a strong opinion now, whereas before I would have been more of a yes man in a way. But it comes with experience, and you bring your experience to the table, and going back to just backing yourself and bringing your opinion to the table, really, and that's kind of what you need to do as a jockey. I suppose it goes back to Dad, really. He gave me a great upbringing and education and all that.
You mentioned your dad. How instrumental has he been in your career?
Massively. Wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't for him. He said to me when I was young, I was living the dream that he had, so I always remind myself of that. As well as a father, he's a jockey coach as well. Like, he speaks to me about every single ride, whether they're good or bad. He's very level. He never lifts me up. But when things go wrong, I'm happy to ring him now, and I talk through it. And I'm lucky to have that, because a lot of jockeys probably don't have someone that's within racing to guide them. Ruby was a big help as well now, and Ruby is fairly black and white with things, so he was a big help, and still is. Like, if I ever had a problem or something that I needed to speak about, I could pick up the phone and ring him. So, and you know Ruby, he'll tell you straight. So I was never really starstruck. I was just reminding myself I was fortunate to be surrounded by those kind of people.
Oh, what was it like riding a horse like Sizing Europe? He was one of the first big names.
Yeah, he was, and like, he was a people's horse, I suppose, as well, and he was a horse that I had watched win champion chases, and there I was heading to Gorham Park to ride him. So again, you can't, I suppose when you're that young, you can't overthink it, and it's a race, and it's what you want to do. So I think I didn't realise the magnitude of it being so young, and you just throw yourself in the deep end and see how it goes, really. So I didn't realise the position that I was in. I was just living a dream, and it was all going so well, and it did go so well for the best part of 16 months probably, but I definitely didn't appreciate it, because looking back I appreciate it, and it's helped me with the experience that I have today, but at the time I was just riding from day to day and enjoying it, really.
And what was the hardest part for you then?
I suppose in that instance, in that stage of my career, the injuries that came, it was my first time getting injured, really. As
when you
a jockey.
broke your back?
It brought me back the first time. I think it was January 15, I think it was. It brought me back in Thurles, and it wasn't a big job, but I was out for 6 weeks. That was my first time to kind of be in a position to have horses to ride that I'm now injured and I can't ride them. So that was difficult to deal with, and I didn't really cope that well with it. But I wasn't out for long. I was only out for 6 weeks. When I got back for Cheltenham and Aintree, which were both a disaster. Like, the horses ran bad, and I pretty rushed myself back as well, and again didn't know how to deal with it at that age. You know, I was rushing to get back. Everything was a rush, and then came the next back injury, and that was the one that really probably hurt. Yeah.
Johnny, you say you didn't cope. In what way didn't you cope?
I just annoyed and cranky and angry and grumpy, and just the first few injuries I wasn't focusing on getting back, but I wasn't really doing anything about it. I just thought I'll come back and I'll be fine. But now, when you get injured, you do your rehab and you get back as fast as you can, really.
Well, that's it. When most people are injured, I think if you're poorly or injured when you're younger, you kind of want your mum. I know that sounds, but I know you lost your mum. But you must be very close to your sister and your girlfriend and the rest of your family.
Yeah, very much so. My sister probably took over the mother role from a very young age. Like, I was 5 and she was 9 when mum passed. So, but again, we had neighbours that rallied around and brought us up very, very well, and I'm sure they're getting great fun following my career now, and I speak to most of them every day. But it was a tough time, but I admire my dad for what he did that time. He would have had nearly 100 horses in training, and he never left us wanting for anything, like with ponies, and if we ever wanted to go anywhere, we were there. And so, like, I look back at those times and I admire him greatly for it.
Whilst Johnny was out injured, Anne and Alan Potts dispersed their string to various trainers in the UK and Ireland, effectively terminating Johnny's position as retained rider. He went freelance, decided to move to the UK, and begun a partnership with Charlie Longsdon.
The first question was, would I be happy to move to England? And I was 21. I felt like I'd been around for years, but I was 21 and it's kind of forgotten about in Ireland at that stage. Now, I'd been injured for so long, it felt like forever, but I looked at Dad and I said, sure, if I went till I was 24 or 5, it didn't work, I could always move back, you know. So that was kind of the deciding factor. We said, should we go and try it and see? So it was very slow, and it was something that I couldn't cope with, because I was only riding for Charlie, and in Ireland I was riding for a range of different trainers. So I was over here, I was just riding for Charlie, and it was busy, but the winners weren't flowing, and it was a different style of riding, and it took me a while to adapt to it. I was racing every day, and that was a big shock to the system too. So getting in the car, driving miles, roads I didn't know, places I didn't know, probably with people I didn't know either. So it was a big change, but like I said, I just kept focusing on that. If I give it 3 or 4 years, if it takes off, great, and if it doesn't, I can always move back home. So I always had that comfort blanket of moving back, albeit I might have been handed the Potts job, and I was handed a great job at a young age, but I knew at some stage in my career I was going to have to work hard, and very, very hard at that, and I felt this was my chance, and the turning point was Ben Tellemar winning the Red Rum Chase at Aintree. That was a big race for me and Charlie, and that was the turning point, and that was when I realised that I'd been better off staying.
Down towards the final flight, 3 in line, Epiton to the near side, So Royal on the far side, Not So Sleepy now back in third, but rallying once again, a half furlong to go, Not So Sleepy and Epiton. These two go on as they race up towards the line. Not So Sleepy and Epiton.
Here's the outcome of the photo finish in first place. A dead heat between number 2, Not So Sleepy, and number 6, Epiton.
So I first met Johnny, I suppose probably a couple of years ago. He came over from Ireland. He was riding for Charlie Longsdon a bit when he first came over, and certainly I saw him riding a couple of races for Charlie, and thought, you know, he was a pretty tidy pilot. I think he had his first ride for us probably last season. Obviously he's very sought after, but he's a cracking jockey.
I met Johnny basically because he goes in schools for Henrietta, and as a result, she provides the jockeys. I go over there and off we go, and we got to know Johnny that way, and just makes you feel relaxed, makes the horses feel relaxed, and obviously gets a real tune out of them. He's always with a smile. Anybody who comes into the yard with a smile, it's always a joy to have. We're lucky to have him riding for us.
It's quite an art in this arena. You cannot get in front of the horse.
She's been a massive help now, and she's opened up a lot of doors for me, and to this day, like with schooling and stuff, she's a big help. Just confidence-wise, like if I went through a bad spell of falls and stuff, I'd give her a call and could I come down and spend the morning with you. And she doesn't say much, she doesn't do anything, but whatever it is, she has a desired effect that you leave there with so much confidence. The thing with schooling for hen is that she's sent horses that have problems as such, jumping-wise, so if you go there and you get them jumping well, you just leave there thinking you're great. So it's a confidence thing, I think, and she doesn't say or do anything special, but whatever she does works.
And Johnny's confidence shone through at last year's Cheltenham Festival when he registered his first winner at the meeting aboard Love Envoy.
Sure, last year it's what you dream of. Like it was going back to my early days with the Pats. I was there. I had plenty seconds and thirds for them, but never had a winner. And everyone thought I did have a Cheltenham Festival winner, but I didn't. So to crack that was brilliant. But personally, it was a big deal, I suppose. Like it's great to ride winners at Cheltenham either side of it, but the festival is special.
What can Johnny Burke achieve in the next 5 years? Well, listen, he's come a long way in the 5 years that he's probably been over in England, and I think he can keep progressing, and with a bit of luck on his side and injury-free, I think he's a very talented jockey and he can go far.
He's working his way up near the top. I think he'll be right up there competing. The way he's riding at the moment, he'll be right up there in the next year or two, looking to be champion jockey, I would have thought.
What would you like to see happen moving forward? What are you going to make happen moving forward?
Just keep riding winners. Like it's very busy over here, and it's everyday stuff. And I'm lucky if today goes bad, I always got tomorrow to look forward to. So it's just do your work and keep it as busy as possible. But it's all about finding quality now as well. You know, you like riding winners is great, but you want to ride decent horses, and I'm lucky at the moment. I've stumbled across a couple of nice ones, so I've got lots to look forward to.